Yes, Charleston White is correct. I'm a rapper, not a dealer. Be sure to catch my new show, 50 Cent, 50 Ways to Catch.
See, that Meech Home concert got the streets talking. The biggest Meech Home, the streets back. That's what I'm talking about. That's how real niggas come home and get it down. 50, who own your masters? Who own your masters? I buy your masters. You ready? I will buy your masters.
50 Cent just...
Now Big Meech is left looking broke, while 50 Cent is laughing his way across the industry, flipping Meech's name into a running joke every chance he gets. Fans are even clowning online, saying the only way this mess could end is if Meech laces up the gloves and steps into the boxing ring with 50. Just picture that headline, Meech versus 50, the fight of the century. But before we even get there, let us rewind this saga and break down how it spiraled into one of the messiest beefs in hip-hop. After Big Meech tried to step away from the streets and reinvent himself, he thought a massive comeback was finally within reach. Then Rick Ross swooped in, talking big, $120 million film projects, documentaries, studio deals that sounded bigger than life itself. Ross was making it sound like Meech was about to walk straight into a Marvel-sized payday. And here's the thing. Ross wasn't whispering these promises. He was flexing loud and clear, acting like the checks were already signed. On paper, it looked like Meech was finally about to cash in on his legendary name.
50 Cent.
I do want to do a BMF film because you've been entertained by a lackluster, small budget series. Now it's time to do a big budget film. Which director? Shout out to my homie, F. Gary Gray, Antoine Foucault, what's up? Tarantino, it's a lot of legends. This is gonna be big, I can feel it.
But the truth? Ross never delivered a single thing. All those promises turned to smoke. Instead, it looks like he used Meech's legacy as a pawn in his never-ending chess game with 50 Cent. Ross got the headlines, the clout, the fake shine, while Meech was left holding nothing but empty words. Meanwhile, 50 was actually putting his money where his mouth was. He didn't just talk, he bankrolled the entire BMF series, paid for Lil Meech's acting classes, and handed him the stage to shine. Those are real receipts, documented moves with real results. Ross, nothing but smoke and mirrors, and it wasn't only 50 saying it either. Even people close to him, like Tony Yayo, came forward to break it down, making it crystal clear who really carried the weight. Now the word on the street is that Big Meech is frustrated, broke, and waking up to the cold truth. That Rick Ross only linked with him to take slick shots at 50.
February 13th, the Big Meech Home benefit concert. It's gonna be iconic. Too many names to list, but let me salute some of the legends. Lil Baby, Boss Man D-Lo, 21 Savage, Sexy Red, Ricky Rose. Now, this the first time it's ever been done. Me performing BMF with the icon himself. This shit gonna be special. Epic. Get your tickets right now. I'm back.
And that is what stings the most. Instead of leveling up like a boss, Meech is out here looking like a pawn in another man's beef. But those broken promises, that was only the warm-up. Things exploded into chaos once Meech's own son got thrown in the mix. Lil Meech was suddenly caught on camera hanging out with Rick Ross at the club, and that's when the drama went from bad to full-blown messy. Because just days earlier, leaked texts supposedly showed Lil Meech saying F Ross. And then, boom, he's spotted right next to him, shoulder to shoulder, chilling like nothing ever happened.
I'm gonna address this, because I'm not trying to let nobody trick me off the streets. But I never folded, never told, never will. Death before dishonor, always with me.
Fans were confused. The streets were buzzing. Everyone was like, make it make sense. The video instantly went viral. Cameras flashing, the room glowing red, and there's Lil Meech and Rick Ross, whispering in each other's ears, posing for pics, grinning like longtime friends, while the whole world watched in shock. It was a complete plot twist that had everybody scratching their heads and calling foul. And of course, You already know 50 Cent wasn't about to let that slide. He jumped online and fired off one of his legendary troll shots. This time he joked that Ross told Lil Meech to hand over his dad's address so he could send some wings from Wingstop. But don't get it twisted.
You took a picture with Rick Ross. Put your back against the wall and just slide down.
That Wingstop line wasn't just a throwaway joke. It was a coded shot, a subtle reminder that while Ross was handing out chicken, 50 was building empires. 50's Wingstop jab wasn't just comedy, it was a dagger. He was basically saying, Rick Ross isn't helping Meech build an empire, he's just feeding him scraps, like a side order of fries. And if you thought that was savage, just wait. Because the next bomb 50 dropped made the internet stop cold. Out of nowhere, 50 posted, and later deleted, a wild claim that he personally had to step in and send Lil Meech to rehab. According to him, Meech was showing up to the BMF set completely lit, so gone he even threw up during a weapons test. Then, when they checked his truck, they allegedly found whippets stuffed inside. 50 even joked that he didn't know what whippets were at first, he had to Google it. But he painted the whole situation as him being the responsible one, stepping in to save Lil Meech from crashing out, while Big Meech was out here co-signing the same reckless behavior. And this wasn't just trolling. Lil Meech had already made headlines for getting arrested at an airport, so people knew he was spiraling. That gave weight to 50's story. Suddenly the conversation shifted. Was 50 Cent the one who actually saved Lil Meech's career from falling apart? But then came the real twist. Because if 50 was the one keeping him afloat, why was Meech still siding with Rick Ross, instead of showing loyalty to the man who bankrolled his TV career? That S, when another voice jumped into the mix and made things 10 times messier, Michael Rainey Jr., better known as Tariq from Power. During a live stream, a fan asked Rainey if he felt bad for Lil Meech. His response? Cold-blooded. He didn't play it safe, he didn't sugarcoat, he went savage. That clip spread like wildfire. And of course 50 couldn't resist. He reposted it with a laugh, doubling down and literally echoing Michael's words in his own caption. It wasn't just a repost, it was a stamp of approval, solidifying the narrative that 50 views Lil Meech as soft, weak, and not built for this life. The timing couldn't have been worse for Meech, because suddenly it wasn't just fans clowning him. He was losing respect from the very empire that made him famous. And that tension? It didn't just appear overnight. It had been bubbling since Big Meech's so-called Welcome Back concert. When Meech came home, the streets expected fireworks, a historic night stacked with rap legends, a celebration worthy of his name. But instead of putting 50 Cent, the man who turned his story into a TV empire, front and center, Meech leaned on Rick Ross to push the event. There was even a clip floating around of Ross hyping it up like it was going to be the comeback of the decade. But that move? Total disaster. The show never even happened. Promoters bailed, the hype collapsed, and all that promise turned to dust. And for 50, that flop was the final straw. After everything he had invested, after building BMF into a hit and elevating Lil Meech's career, being sidelined for Rick Ross was unforgivable. That's the moment 50 turned ice cold. 50 Cent wasn't pulling punches. He accused Big Meech of cutting backroom deals with the feds and dragged him all over the internet. And linking up with Rick Ross, that only made the fallout 10 times worse.
I feel bad for Lil Meech. I don't feel bad for no grown man on this planet. Like, I'm a grown man. Why the f I gotta feel bad for another grown man? Like, you a grown man too. What you asking for my sympathy for? You be alright. Oh, ahead.
To the streets, it looked like Meech had traded loyalty for clout, and 50 wasted no time stamping that narrative with his non-stop trolling. Instead of a legendary comeback, that Welcome Back concert became the turning point where people stopped riding for Big Meech. The boss image cracked overnight, and suddenly Meech looked less like a kingpin and more like a man fumbling his own legacy. That's when Meech decided to clap back. Out of nowhere, he posted an old picture of him and 50 standing shoulder to shoulder, but with one brutal twist. He slapped a giant rat emoji right over 50's face. No subtlety, no guessing games. That was a direct shot, calling 50 a snitch, a beau, and if that wasn't enough, he doubled down in the caption. labeling 50 an internet gangster, basically saying all 50 does is hide behind his phone, trolling from the sidelines instead of putting in real action. Ross, of course, couldn't resist pouring gasoline on the fire. He jumped in right away, mocking 50 for being pressed about their new alliance. Fans instantly saw it as a tag team move, Ross co-signing Meech to poke the bear even harder. The trolling spiraled into a spectacle, with Ross hyping Meech like he'd just recruited him into the official anti-50 squad. Then came the clip everyone's still talking about. Ross flat out clowning 50, laughing about how mad he was that Meech stood right beside him. Ross made it crystal clear, this wasn't just about friendship. This was an alliance built on a common enemy. But here's the irony that had the internet scratching its head. 50 Cent was the one who actually gave Lil Meech real opportunities. Acting classes, TV roles, steady checks. Ross? All he had were flashy photo ops and empty promises. Yet somehow, Meech seemed more eager to ride with Ross than the man who built his son's platform. That bizarre loyalty shift confused fans, and it lit the fuse on the next wild rumor. The whispers turned into headlines. Meech wanted to fight 50, for real. After the rat emoji stunt and Ross's relentless trolling, the internet went into overdrive with talk of a celebrity boxing match between 50 Cent and Big Meech himself. Some fans thought it was hilarious, others thought it was tragic. Meech, once one of the most feared names in the streets, now being reduced to chasing validation in a boxing ring like some reality TV gimmick. But what really set the rumor on fire wasn't the memes. It was Meech himself. When asked if he'd ever swing back at 50, he hinted that he'd lace up the gloves if it came to it. Even if he said it half joking, the internet didn't care. They ran with it like wildfire. Suddenly, blogs were debating ticket sales, pay-per-view numbers, and who'd actually win if fists started flying. The fantasy matchup exploded into its own scandal, and once boxing talk hits the culture, it spreads faster than anything else. Just as the boxing chatter was boiling over, Whack 100 stepped into the conversation, and that's when everything flipped. Whack wasn't talking about pay-per-view numbers or celebrity fights. He came with something far heavier. According to him, this beef wasn't just about loyalty or Rick Ross. It was about secrets. Buried secrets. Whack dropped a bomb that hit like a grenade in the middle of the culture. He claimed that Tammy Cowan, Meech's own confidant, someone trusted deep inside his circle, once confided to 50 Cent that Big Meech had actually cooperated with federal authorities in other street cases. Let that sink in. If true, this beef wasn't just internet trolling anymore. It was about exposing a secret that could rewrite Big Meech's entire legacy. And Whack didn't sugarcoat a thing. He laid it out flat. Tammy Cowan allegedly told 50 directly that Meech worked with the feds. That's not just gossip. That's the one allegation a street legend can never outrun. And the timing? Brutal. Meech was already taking body shots online, being called broke, clowned for the failed concert, and mocked for cozying up to Ross. Now, out of nowhere, whispers of federal cooperation surfaced. To the streets, that's a scarlet letter. Once that seed is planted, it's nearly impossible to erase. Suddenly, the entire conversation shifted. Fans weren't just debating memes, boxing matches, or Instagram captions anymore. They were questioning if Meech's whole reputation had been built on a lie. And the wild part? 50 didn't even have to say much at first. The internet did the heavy lifting. Memes flooded timelines, people dug up old interviews, and some even speculated that Meech's soft approach toward Ross was tied to keeping certain people quiet. For a man who once symbolized loyalty and silence, even the suggestion of working with the feds was enough to shake the room. And of course, Rick Ross jumped back into the mix, spinning it like 50 was just desperate to ruin Meech's name. But fans watching from the sidelines knew better. This wasn't trolling anymore. This was real cracks forming in a myth that had stood untouched for decades. And here's the kicker. Whack didn't pump the brakes. He doubled down, saying Tammy might have had her own motives for turning on Meech. Maybe she felt abandoned when he got locked up. Maybe she was tired of him trying to snatch back his life rights. Either way, the message landed. If Tammy really said it, the streets would never look at Meech the same again. This wasn't just a beef anymore. It was a war over a legacy. Remember those life rights that were already locked in with 50 for the BMF series? That detail made Whack 100's story sting even harder, because it suggested this wasn't just betrayal, it was business gone ugly. And if there was even a shred of truth to it, Meech was cornered. Imagine the person closest to you, the one holding all your secrets, being the same one feeding your enemy ammo. That's not just drama. That's a death blow to trust. Wack even spelled it out. Tammy might have been sliding info directly into 50's lap the whole time. That claim alone had fans wide-eyed. Because if 50's shots were coming from inside Meech's own circle, then the empire wasn't collapsing from outside pressure. It was rotting from within. Whether Wack was dropping receipts or just stirring chaos for clicks, one thing was clear. It handed 50 another loaded clip of material, and the fans wasted no time weaponizing it into memes. Then came one of the wildest moments yet. Big Meech popped out in public rocking Kanye West's iconic graduation jacket. On the surface, it looked like just another flex, but people instantly caught the symbolism. Was Meech signaling that he'd graduated out of the street code? Or was it a sly nod to the snitch narrative he couldn't shake? And fans didn't miss the deeper cut. Graduation was the same Kanye album that famously outsold 50 in their 2007 head-to-head sales battle. Suddenly the jacket wasn't just fashion. It looked like a direct jab at 50, clowning him with his most infamous L. Some laughed it off as coincidence, others swore Meech rocked it on purpose to reopen an old wound. But what stood out wasn't the jacket, it was 50's silence. Normally, Curtis Jackson is the first to torch a goofy pose, flame a fit, or turn a single photo into a viral roast. This time, nothing. Not a screenshot, not a caption, not even a half smirk. And that silence said more than words ever could. Fans started whispering, 50's not ignoring Meech, he's reloading. Because when 50 skips the easy jokes, it usually means he's saving his ammo for something nuclear. By now, it's crystal clear. This beef isn't just trolling anymore. 50 Cent has locked in on Big Meech like it's a personal vendetta. Most internet feuds burn out in weeks. This one? It's only gotten nastier with time. Some say it's about betrayal. 50 gave Lil Meech opportunities, only to watch him cozy up to Rick Ross, his sworn rival. Others say it's deeper, that for 50, it's about dominance. He doesn't just want to win, he wants to crush anyone who dares step across his line. And if this ever jumps from Instagram captions to a real boxing ring, it won't just be another celebrity circus. It'll be the final chapter in a war that's already gone too far. One man fighting to preserve his legacy, the other trying to burn it down for laughs. So what do you think? Will Big Meech finally swing back, or is 50 Cent about to end this story on his own terms? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Smash that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned. Because judging by the way this is heating up, the next move is already locked and loaded.